paid good money to see this movie. When they go out to a theater, they want cold sodas, hot popcorn, and no monsters in the projection booth.
Everyone pretend podcasting isn't boring.
Turn it off. Turn it off.
Cute pic. Fucking cute. Yeah. Find what's trending.
Make out.
Got it. Piggyback off that. Okay, ready? Now say fake as post. Fake as post.
Ma'am?
You fucking bitch. Jealous. Okay. Why are you doing this?
Fuck me. I can't die a fucking virgin!
Remember, if you get stabbed, don't post anything about it. Victims are so played out.
Hey folks, welcome to a special episode of The Projection Booth. I'm your host, Mike White. On this episode, I am talking with two people behind the film #AMFAD, All My Friends Are Dead. All my friends are dead, and the leaves are... No, nothing to do with that. I'm going to be talking with the director, Marcus Dunstan, as well as the star of the show, Jade Pettyjohn, who plays Sarah, our main character in the film. Had a great time talking with both of them. The movie should be out July 24th, 2024, playing at a theater near you. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoy these interviews. Tell me a little bit about you pre-Project Greenlight. How did you even get interested in films?
Well, I was very fortunate in that I had horrible acne and I wasn't good at sports and I loved The Basement and Dr. Svengoolie's groovy movies. So that meant I was starting to get fascinated with special makeup effects, and that's courtesy of Tom Savini. When I was a little kid, I saw Gene Simmons on Dick Clark's American Bandstand stomp towards the camera with those big silver boots, spit fake blood on the lens, and as it ran down the center of the screen, I thought, yep. That's it. So then Tom Savini, and I no joke about like really being ravaged by acne. Like I was one of those kids on Accutane. So I was studying his books, Grand Illusions and whatnot. I thought like, oh, well, maybe for my next like home video or something, I can cover this and I can, find just really like find some confidence, find some things to cover what was really hurting and bleeding and inside. And then another fascination happened. Courtesy of my grandmother, Genevieve Dunstan. She marched me into Journey Comics and told Paul, this kid may be too young to read Fangoria, but let him read whatever he wants. Well, now the Delta opened up. And I was able to study all these movies and really these icons, these people out there that were pushing felt, okay, this is my baseball, basketball, band, everything. This is the family in the dark that creates. And I loved that. So then watching, for example, like Friday the 13th or Dawn of the Dead was, yes, one, an attachment and an adoration of the experience of being scared, but then watching it 2 and 3 and 4 times was seeing the magic behind it. And Tom Savini's sleight of hand as a magician and a performer and a stunt person and a great actor and a director and. And I thought, well, hey, maybe, I would like to try that too. So that then led to a fateful day where I was, I think it was high school, and our basketball coach had us together for like the spaghetti dinner and the kickoff of the season. And I kept the bench warm, and I got water and towels for folks. And then as we're going around entering, I think would be our sophomore year in that polyester orange and black jersey, he's going around giving a moment of like, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do the runs, and and Dunstan, you're going to get your head out of Hollywood and get on that court, right? And in my head, I felt the gear shift, and I went, nope. And I went and I got a job at the movie theater. And I turned in my orange polyester jersey for a fake tuxedo, and I did not look back. And then all of a sudden, acne or not, I was in the back of this dark theater watching movies, and I felt like I was studying. So I'd go to school all day. I could go to the shift of the theater, and I was studying. And I was watching really the trailers to watch how Larry Jarvis, our theater manager, always was very, very, had a love for trailers. And we were in Macomb, Illinois, and yet he brought the world of cinema in. He'd run an international art series, but he'd bring in Prospero's books. He'd bring in John Woo. He'd bring in early Danny Boyle. He'd bring in like all of it. It was marvelous. That was the beginning. So then by the time we got out to, I'll show you this. I got a prop. By the time Patrick Melton, he's also from Illinois, Evanston, me, Macomb. We ended up at college together at the University of Iowa. Fast forward, we're in the same ramshackle apartment building in Hollywood. And he had a DOS computer that would overheat. So we'd have to turn it off every 20 minutes to co-write. We could type faster than I could word process. So at the same time, he was a reader for ICM, meaning like $50 a script, you read it. And he had, in about 2003-04, he had a little boy on the way, which is now his wonderful son, Ty. I was working at Blockbuster Home Video in Topanga. And it was kind of going down. And so I wasn't even given my own name. I was Jamie. And maybe Jamie died in gladiatorial combat. Like, what happened to Jamie, right?
Yeah, that looks like it's seen some shit.
Jamie saw some shit. So every Sunday, the phone call home was like, hey, man, like, you're not in your early 20s anymore. You're like cruising towards late 20s, et cetera. Is it time to pack it up? And I thought about that kid in the basement who wanted to cover up his acne, who wanted to feel confident, and found that confident actually in the dark, pointing glass at other people and making them feel awesome, look awesome, be awesome. And then if we get to scare some folks, great. Because there's something about it. The intent was, I don't want to scare the people I'm in this room with. It's fun to scare the audience because having been that usher, my gosh, what people would do is they jump, and then what do? They laugh. So you're going for that reason where maybe if we're so fortunate and we dedicate and we just keep studying and just keep working, we won't get people to jump further apart. They'll jump closer together.
I love that answer. I love that. And you definitely, you have done straight horror, but you have also done a lot of horror comedies. And I'm curious, how do you find that balance when you're doing a horror comedy between the laughs and the screams?
My goodness, you need the cast. You can have some of the funniest lines down there, but if you don't have that bit of magic where the DNA of the paper matches the absolute cosmic blast of it coming to life before all the tech and all the lights, and how successful it is to tell a quick, dirty joke 10 times in a row to the same audience, it starts to fade. So performers, their gift. I don't want to single out, like our cast was so Jade Pettyjohn, our North Star. How many people in their early 20s do you know that have 10, 15 years experience? That's Jade. And so every tone, she had a way to do it. She had a way to convey and really be the movie's camera. I saw her character as a camera in and of itself, observing this group of friends that maybe they're frenemies. Well, now they're suspects. Are they going to get me killed? Are you kidding me? And they're all not witnessing her, who she's got some steel in her spine as well. And maybe she'll surprise them. Loved that. So then Jennifer Enns, bless her heart, she plays the character Mona. There was a joke I have had in my back pocket. And it could have been in anything we've ever worked on. It could have been offered in any pitch, but I saved it. And sure enough, the tectonic plates of time, space, technology came together. I was like, hey, props department, can you make a driver's license photo that says, and I say, and Jennifer, would you mind taking a run at this line? And that moment, and I want to fast forward all the way from the hope of that moment, which it wasn't on the schedule. We didn't have time to do it, but we did it anyway because we had the right environment and the right cast to do it. Transform our premiere night. And when someone bucks, you got to scare at them. But it works when all those silhouettes go, bah, and laugh. And then we were good because, well, bam, the next bit of terror was coming right behind it like a haymaker. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Mona. Thank you, Josh, Jessica. Everything. That was really cool. That was my soul photo. I want to remember that. Okay, it was worth holding on to that. At time, and maybe that actually goes back to the beginning of your initial question. You can't give up on yourself if you've got something, and the one thing that I try to remember the first time I read something, the first time I watch something, because if you go through it so many times, it Xeroxes, it fades, it goes gray. But remembering that, and don't give up on that first feeling you had. And it might have just been in the mind that I can do this. I want to do this. I will do this. Now, the other thing is you got to bust your ass and you got to be ready for luck. I love this quote I saw on a gym wall, the Spartan gym wall in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. Don't hope for it more than you work for it. So now, everything from those experiments with digital cameras and an RCA camcorder, courtesy of my grandma Jen, and the back pages of Fangoria magazine, where I had my first set of foam fake body parts, courtesy of grandma Jen, and testing different types of fake blood to see what would work with VHS versus what would work with black and white film, which would be chocolate syrup, which I learned from George Romero, versus reversal, where, man, it really embraced the red, and I could actually use a little bit of Kool-Aid, and I could use a little bit of straight up more opaque colors, and it would pop. Well, then on this set, where we had the traditional issues of any production, where it's a negotiation with time and resources. All of those skills came back. I can't tell you a whole hell of a lot I learned on the set where there was one whole stage committed to a giant robot foot, but I can tell you, every moment of high school in figuring it out for myself, that came into play. And to that, anybody watching this that's thinking how can I? Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. You've got more in your pocket on your phone than I ever did. You can do it. And we did our damnedest. So this August 2nd, for the love of God, please come celebrate what these guys did so well. It's All My Friends Are Dead. #MFAD, All My Friends Are Dead. Oh, and I got to say it. Please stay through the credits. We don't stop entertaining you until they yank the movie out of our hands. We've got more twists than a pretzel. Please stay with us in the dark. There you go.
You mentioned Tom Savini and just that he was such a multi-hyphenator, still is a multi-hyphenate. You're no slouch when it comes to that either. Is this the first time, though, that you've directed something that you haven't written?
It is not. And the first time was Noah Feinberg's Pilgrim. And what an awesome screenplay that was. I want to shout out to Noah because in that case, I believe I was a replacement director, and Patrick and I were had the ability to concoct a new story based on a slot. Like the Into the Dark movies had paradigms of every month there would be a holiday you'd go for. Noah Feinberg wrote Pilgrim over a weekend, and it was based on a true story that we then collaborated to take grand liberties with, which I absolutely loved. And that was also the introduction to Peter Giles, who returns in #GamFad, All My Friends Are Dead. I love Peter. Peter's the ornaments, the tinsel. He's the tree itself. I love Peter Giles. He's got such a marvelous, wonderful voice, and I love tricking him into saying offensive things with that great voice. So the Pilgrim would be the first time. And then when we did a Jack in the Box Halloween campaign that resulted in Feeding Time, a short form, and that was part of a writer's room collective. And then Unhuman had a draft that we then did a lot of rewriting on, because that was just a difference of, once again, I was coming in, and the director's spot was vacated, and we needed to back some story elements into the resources in hand. And that's how that would happen. So long-winded, sorry, but to get here, yeah, Josh and Jessica, all I had to do with this one, and with Patrick, who was an EP on this, was we thought, all right, we'll adapt this to our resources. It's their screenplay. And I remembered somebody who did the same for us, and his name is John Gulager. And 20 years ago this year, it was Feast. And Patrick and I writing, that was the script we started on that DOS computer that overheated. And we handed our pages over and like, you can do, everyone can do this. You can do this. And he looked at it, read it, laughed, and said, I think this is the one, and I'm going to protect it. And I love that. So I wanted to do that for Josh and Jessica. I was like, okay, there's some things that are going to have to be different because of just time and resources, but I want to protect it. I want to protect their twist, and I want to protect what really resonated with me about their script. It had a heart. So we promise you the gore. We promise you some laughs. Please expect a twist or two. And I hope the heart surprises you.
I love the way that you play with the form. Is that in the screenplay as well? Things like bringing up the credits 20 minutes in or introducing like the title. I mean, I love those things.
I would have on like my draft that I would have where I could have handwritten notes. I would try to stack that a little bit, but only if we earned it. I tried that, and I liked how it worked with Pilgrim, where we had once the buckled shoes of the Pilgrim cross the threshold, boop, we just pop in for the title, and I liked that. In this case, it represents a tonal shift where when our credits come in, where they do, it's like, okay, so we've given you a dose of this morbid history. There was an absolute maniac out there 20 years ago. And what if some kids on their way to the show ran afoul of that same person? And what if, right when they were turning a blind eye to all the obvious threats before them, we drift away and we start his story? And that's when the credits begin. Because the horror movie's saying like, okay, bubblegum kids, I'm taking over. Knuckle crack.
Mr. Dunstan, thank you so much for your time. This was great talking with you.
Hey, we need this. I mean, in this day and age, you are the light shining upon us. Thank you. Yeah, I'm proud of this. I love what we were able to get away with. And thank you very much for helping get the word out.
Well, hopefully I get 1,000 likes on Instagram or else that's it. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got the role? Because you've been in so many things.
I was sent the script a while ago, actually, well before we started filming, about a year before. And they sent a script and a pitch deck and like a character description for Sarah. And they had said she's a final girl in a way that no one's ever seen before, which was super intriguing to me. And I'd never done horror before. This is my first time getting into the genre. So I was really intrigued and really excited. And I think the story really spoke for itself. I mean, it's a wild ride of chaos and candy-coated horror and gore and kills that are just so great, and humor and heart. And there's so much of a twist in the third act, particularly with my character and some of the things that she's experiencing. And that was really intriguing because I didn't expect it. So that was something that was really exciting to me about taking it on.
I did say you've been in a lot of stuff that I've seen, the Deadwood movie, Destroyer, The Righteous Gemstones. I mean, there's just so many things that I've seen you in. And I mean, what is your favorite genre to play? Do you have one?
The thing for me is chasing good stories. That's what matters to me. And there's certain points in my career where I lean towards wanting to do more comedy or go into horror, something I haven't done, or drama. But the thing that made me fall in love with storytelling was drama. And that's my bread and butter. And I think the reason why I love it so much is because I love people and I love humanity. And that's just a great way of being able to depict life. And it can include every other genre within it, which I love. Like, life is funny, even in its, trials and tribulations. There's humor in it. There's heart in it. There's obstacles and barriers, and there can be horror and shock and all of these things. And so I always fall back to drama to remind me of like all the things that I love about our industry. But it really goes back to great stories. I mean, I really do love every genre.
You said that they sent you the script. Did you even have to audition, or did they just say, you've got this if you want it?
Yeah, so this was a total honor for me. I didn't go through an audition process on this particular project. They had offered it to me, which my first reaction was like, do they have the right person? Because I've never played a character like this before. I've never done this genre. So I felt really honored, really, really honored. And then when I found out Marcus was directing, Marcus Dunstan I'm such a big fan of his work. And to work with him was just such a dream.
So how do you approach a character like this? How do you say, this is how I'm going to be this person? Do you write a backstory? I mean, because there kind of is a backstory for the person in the movie itself, but like, what's your method?
Yeah, so my method is a mixed bag of a lot of things that I take with me. For Sarah, it was really important for me to build a history for her, and that's something I do really with every character I take on. I there's like 200 questions that I ask every character that I play. I'm really into journaling for characters. I really like creating playlists for characters and creating their inner world, that even if it's not represented in the film, you know, it's something that you know about them. It's a secret that you have that just makes them a little bit more real and would sort of justify or explain why they are the way that they are. And that was a big point for Sarah of what she goes through in this film is very wild, and she starts off one thing and then an audience sees a completely different side of her by the end of the film. So for me, what was important in taking on this character was finding out what her why is and like what is the intention and drive that gets her through to the end of the film, which is really interesting themes of love and betrayal and shame and guilt, and how that just informs how she tries to survive this particular situation.
How was it working with your other actors? What were kind of the tricks to bring that ensemble together? Because you're supposed to have been friends for years.
I think we were probably the luckiest group in the world in that we met each other the first day filming. We had no time to meet each other beforehand. And it instantly, the chemistry was perfect. And the dynamics felt so lived in and so real. And there were things that, like, I remember overhearing Jack, who plays Gluttony, he plays Guy, and Cardi and Elby, like just the guys, right? And hearing them talk to each other, and it was like they could have rolled the camera and it would have been a scene in the film. Like it was just so perfect, and they were so honed into their characters that it was just so easy to create with them. And Marcus created a space where we could improv, and that also made it a lot warmer, and just like the way that we were able to interact with one another. But they're just incredible human beings and incredible actors. And so having them as scene partners was a total gift, particularly for this kind of film. We need to rely on each other.
I'm sure you had to build that trust up with them quite a bit.
Yeah, it was an immense amount of trust. And we did. We trusted each other. And there was a few times on set when it was getting really intense that we would check in with each other and be like, okay, how are you doing really? And like, do we need to stop filming for a moment? Do you need a second? Do you need anything? And I definitely wanted to make sure that like I was doing my part with this particular character who's a bigger role, make sure that everyone else felt like they could communicate and speak up. And if they were having trouble, like I would want to help them. And they did the same for me. So it was good.
Where did you actually film this at? Like, what was the location?
We filmed this in Vancouver, actually. So Vancouver, Canada. We were out there for a few weeks. It was a really short run. We were able to shoot it in chronological order, which was lovely. And I'd never experienced that before. So we really were shooting this story in real time, it felt. And yeah, it was a wonderful, wonderful experience.
No, that sounds fantastic. I'm glad to hear that you were kind of actually out in the woods then. So not, turn around and there's the city right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were shooting about an hour, I would say, outside of Vancouver, the city. So we were out in it for sure.
I mean, you have done all these roles over the years, all the way back to, I think one of your earliest was The Mentalist, which was another show that I used to watch religiously. What have been some of your favorites to do?
I feel really grateful. I've been able to be a part of a ton of different projects, and I've loved every single one of them for very different reasons. Probably one of my favorite projects, aside from All My Friends Are Dead, which was very, very lovely. Little Fires Everywhere was a TV show that I did in 2020, or it released in 2020. We shot it in 2019, and that's with Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington, and it was based off of an incredible book. And that was one of my favorite experiences as an artist. I was playing a character that was just objectively a horrible person, and to find the humanity in her and like really not judge her, but to discover like how does someone become that was like, from a human point, like what it gave me as far as empathy goes is invaluable. Like it was wonderful. And to work with these actors that I literally looked up to and like are one of the reasons why I am an actor was so incredible. So Little Fires, Destroyer was another really big one for me. I'm a big Karan Kusama fan, and I mean, it's Nicole Kidman, and it was amazing, and that was a great experience. But really every project I've done, I've loved. I've really lucked out on the people that I've worked with. Have always been incredible, and the stories have always been really fun.
How about you? What's next for you?
I just wrapped Netflix's The Monsters, the Eric and Lyle Menendez story. It's the second season following Dahmer, Ryan Murphy's world of this anthology, following different crimes. And that was an incredible experience, and that should be coming up this year, I think. So I finished that, and I'm working on something else now, but I unfortunately can't talk about that one just yet. But yeah, Ryan Murphy's Monsters is the next one for me.
That must be a little surreal for you to be in this movie portraying, a very famous crime, but I don't even imagine you're alive for it.
I was not. That crime was 1989. Yeah, wasn't around, but very iconic. And I really fell in love with researching the role and the crime itself. Fascinating set of circumstances.
I imagine you're portraying a real person in that, as far as like, you're portraying somebody else.
Yeah, I play Jamie Pisarcik, who's the girlfriend, fiance of the older brother, Lyle Menendez.
How is that portraying another person rather than creating a character whole cloth?
It's wild. It's a wild experience. I don't think I haven't played a character that existed. I mean, Trial by Fire, my character existed, but this is like the first time I was playing a character that, lived a really hard experience, and it's documented, and, there's video footage of her, and getting into just representing her as best I can in the tone of Ryan Murphy's world. A total treat, and set a completely different set of challenges than anything else that I've ever done. And I was so stoked the whole time. It was a great experience.
Is there a good place for people to keep up with you and your work online?
I would say my social media is a great place. My Instagram is great. My website is just my name.com. And IMDb, of course, you get updated on there too.
Well, Jade Pettyjohn, thank you so much for your time today. This was wonderful talking with you.
Thank you so much. Lovely chatting.
Every time. Why can't we be friends? 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 The color of your skin don't matter to me. As long as we can live in harmony. Why can't we be friends? 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 I kinda like to be the president. So I can show you how your money's spent. Why can't we be friends? 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 Sometimes I don't speak right. All right. But yet I know what I'm talking about. Why can't we be friends? 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 I know you're waiting for the